I do a lot of crazy things on this show. Every week we sit down and I piss off globalists, the deep state, political powers, the Israel lobby, Europeans, various other groups. But today I'm ready to risk it all.
All right.
I'm ready to go for the big one because I am going to arouse the anger of the most aggressive fan base in the entire universe. I will also be angering our beloved producer Kelly, who is shooting death glares at me from behind us in the producer booth. And I'm going to probably piss off my wife.
Oh no!
So this is I'm laying it all on the line for the fans of Unusual Suspects, just to show you guys I'm committed.
You can crash at my place if you want.
if I have to.
We have a couch.
You're enabling.
But do it. Go hard.
Okay. So, where do we begin with this kind of thing? We all know cinema changed forever in 1977 with the release of the original Star Wars. I'm not here to question Star Wars status as an iconic cultural symbol. It is unlike any movie ever made. People were blown away by it. It was in theaters for over a year. But here's what the franchise looks like now. How it has grown so extensively.
Right.
What started as a one-off movie in the 70s that clearly was never meant to be a franchise.
What happened to the bottom half of the image? It's not showing. I can't see it.
Which one?
Which one?
Yes, it is.
Like I see 6 movies. What's that on the bottom?
Oh yeah, you mean that blank space at the bottom where those movies we pretend like don't exist? I'll get to that. Don't worry. So then, that this one-off movie in the 70s was such a hit that we had to have more. Everyone was desperate for more. In 1980, we got The Empire Strikes Back, which is the single best entry in the franchise. That's not even a controversial opinion. 1983, we got Return of the Jedi. Then nothing until 1999 with Phantom Menace, where we met Jar Jar Binks for the first time.
The whole Jar Jar Binks.
And see, when I was growing up, that was Star Wars, because I was not born for the originals. I was born in 97. So when I was a little kid, the prequel trilogy with the backstory of Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader, that was what everyone was talking about with Star Wars. Then we got Attack of the Clones, which is somehow even worse in 2002. Then Revenge of the Sith in 2005, which is it's not bad, but it kind of had to grow on it. Then we got to that awful stretch of The Force Awakens 2015, The Last Jedi 2017, which was among the worst movies I've ever watched. The Rise of Skywalker in 2019, and in between,
you watch it?
I have seen all of these.
Oh,
I can attest in person. Then Rogue One, which was really good, and then Solo, which was terrible. But if we can throw that graphic back up real quick of just the shows there. Humberto and I's reaction to this. 2/3 of the main movies and one of the standalones were not good at all.
True.
They nobody really likes them.
Nope.
And the prequel trilogy right there in the middle is only good by comparison
to the
because once we got the sequel of the Skywalker saga and we had to meet all those new characters with the Disney version of Star Wars, we saw, we didn't realize what we had. Even though George Lucas was out of his mind when he tried to come up with midichlorians and all this other nonsense, at least it was somewhat better than what we have now, right? Well, this doesn't even scratch the surface, because look at this next chart. These are all the Star Wars TV shows that have existed since then. There were ones that some began in the 80s, and Humberto and some of us, like when I was growing up, loved the Clone Wars. That was an amazing show. There was an older version of the Clone Wars that was also really good. But since Disney, again, when Disney bought LucasArts, they accelerated it, and they've done all these other shows, Bad Batch, Rebels, all these other ones that most people haven't even heard of. And then, of course, there's the live-action ones. Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, Ahsoka, and most recently, The Acolyte. The Acolyte just premiered on Tuesday. We got the first 2 episodes. And I need to clarify, I have not watched any of the shows. I've seen 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, thought it was pretty good, couldn't be bothered. Everyone watched it when they got their free Disney Plus trial when it first came out. And since then, I've seen none of the Star Wars TV shows that Disney has made. And I feel like my life is largely unaffected by that. They're not good enough to be worth my time. The Acolyte premiered on Tuesday, first 2 episodes, and it's already a ratings disaster for Disney.
Wow.
Lowest ratings of any Star Wars project ever, with the exception of the holiday special, which anyone who knows Star Wars history knows that was egregious and terrible. But right there, you can see the ratings of the chart. 33% audience score, 93% critics.
Nice.
If you needed a further reminder of the fact that movie and TV critics have no idea what they're talking about, there you go. And then Forbes said, has the lowest Star Wars audience scores since the holiday special. Among the ridiculous things in this film or in this the show that we've already gotten just in 2 episodes is a lightsaber whip, a lightsaber that turns into a whip and
That's
then
probably not safe.
yeah, and then fires burning in space. But I'm not going to nitpick a science fiction show. I'm not going to, try to say, oh, this is the, ridiculous, because a lightsaber whip is no more ridiculous than a regular lightsaber.
Hey.
But they're pretty cool. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, you don't need to fact check science fiction. Everybody knows that it's a little bit, you suspend your disbelief and you roll with it from there. But why is The Acolyte so terrible? Well, it was described as the gayest Star Wars show ever made. And I'd like to introduce you to the people who are making it the gayest thing ever made.
I'm scared.
So first we have this woman, Leslie Headland.
Leslie.
I don't know. I don't even need to tell you anything else about her. I'm going to. I
Like,
also
does she
That says
think
it all. You can
Yeah,
just tell
it
by
says it
looking
all.
at
That's
her
that picture.
that
That's
this
what
is
you're gonna
turn
say.
into a disaster.
she's 100% a lesbian, right?
yeah. And just to clarify, she is the one on the right.
I was a cute dress
Clarification.
girl.
Yeah, just to make sure. I didn't want there to be any
Chewbacca's trying to
confusion.
keep his
So,
distance.
as-
As Humberto astutely observed, she is in fact a lesbian who's married to a woman who actually stars in the show,
Oh.
or is one of the stars.
Oh.
Not a very
like
not a very
Weinstein
good
stuff.
part. Yes. Funny you should mention that.
Wow.
She was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant for 4 years.
What?
Who, Leslie or
that.
the wife?
Leslie.
Oh, okay.
I had no
And
idea.
in that 4-year time period, she swears she didn't see or hear a single thing that would indicate that Harvey Weinstein was a bad guy.
I'm sure.
Shocking. I
Yeah.
know. You would assume that if you were the personal assistant of a guy like Harvey, you might, at least hear rumors, but no.
Can we
She was,
pause
she
this?
was,
Can
she
we-
was-
can
she
we
was
so
pause
gross.
this?
She was
Can
so
we
grossed
pause-
out by him that he converted her.
Can we
Apparently.
pause? Can we pause on this point a little bit? We always talk about government, being bad and all the swamp creatures and everything. There's another type of swamp creatures that don't get enough hate, especially from me. These corporate monsters that they're willing to keep quiet everything. They're willing to tell their own mother. Like, 'cause corporatism, it becomes a religion when
Yeah.
you're in the inside, and people do the most horrible things. They will snitch on coworkers. They will make you work late. They will blame you things. They will take credit. And I think she's going above and beyond on being a corporate rat. But I'm glad she's doing well.
Yeah. And, she's definitely done well for herself with this, despite having really had nothing else to her credit that is big enough to warrant being put in charge of Star Wars or one of their shows right here. Here's a picture of her wife in the role on that show.
Which one is with the makeup on?
Her wife is not actually green, but it's hard, wouldn't
Not
be
today.
surprising if a member of that community was dressed like that regularly. But she's also said, I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans, but I want to be clear: anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan.
What?
Which clearly she's never met actual Star Wars fans, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Oh.
But she has,
Shots
very,
fired.
very
Yeah,
clearly
literally.
said
Yeah.
that she is going to make the Acolyte the gayest thing that has ever happened to Star Wars. And as I said, it already is. But now we turn to the person who's actually starring in the Acolyte. This is Amanda Stenberg. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. First, we have this clip of her talking about her experience making Star Wars gay.
When I saw Frozen as a grown-ass woman, I cried through the entire movie. There was just something about the relationship between the sisters, the like de-villainization of the classic kind of fairy tale bad bad guy, the concept of true love being between two sisters and not a heterosexual relationship. Like it just destroyed me completely. And I thought, gosh, I would love to make something like this that is, for lack of a better term, Disney, meaning it's something that like my parents would have allowed me to see when I was younger as a queer person.
Gotcha.
But I would have been able to understand as a queer person. And I think I would have had a completely different life. And so I really was inspired by it and was like, God, I would love to make a story like this. And so when I was developing this original idea to pitch to Kathleen, I thought, well, it can't just be that, when you're pitching Star Wars, you have to pull from what, George was also interested in. Like, it can't just be like, well, I'm referencing, especially if you're going to set something, during the High Republic or end of High Republic into prequels, you don't have the Skywalker saga. Like, you can't reference a character that was created by George and or Filoni. Like, you have to create your own new characters.
George was clearly interested in space lesbians, as it turns out. But now we turn to Amanda Stenberg.
Before we get off her, can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
Who watches Frozen and cries through the entire movie?
Hey, they're not going to go try it.
Weirdo.
Disney adults. That is the problem. That is a point I'm building to here, Tony. That
Oh.
the adults who are obsessed with Disney, these former theater kids who became adults, couldn't get over Disney and are now obsessed with it and are plugged into everything.
I know.
That's the exact kind of psychosis that's ruining everything nice that we have in our culture.
Yep.
But back to the star, Amanda Stenberg. She was a former child actor. She was in the Hunger Games movies, or at least the first one. She's been in a few other things. She actually used to do commercials for brands like Kmart and Boeing. And much like Kmart and Boeing, the next thing she's involved in is about to crash and burn as well. Because this
scared.
show, as I said, has been a unmitigated ratings disaster. Here is a clip of her talking to Trevor Noah a few years ago when she was starring in a movie called The Hate You Give, which was a movie about white people being complicit in police brutality. So certainly not helpful.
When people watch The Hate You Give, what do you want them to walk away with? Because I know everyone has a slightly different feeling.
Well, I mean, white people crying actually was the goal.
Has he been deported yet?
And I'd like to clarify there that Amanda Stenberg is biracial. Her dad is Danish. So she is half white, which means that if white people crying is the goal of her movie, she's saying she wants to make her dad cry with the project she was in.
Daddy issues.
Well, most definitely. But,
But I bet he was around.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe that would get his attention if you make him cry with a movie.
All right, Connor. Does this get any worse?
Well, do we have the clip of the interview?
This is worse than the war story.
Do we have the clip of the interview with them talking about how they want this to be gay? They sat down and they were talking in an interview saying, 3PO is actually gay, and I think R2D2 is a lesbian.
Yes.
And they're saying that all nerds are gay, as they see it. Anyone who's a nerd and would be nerdy enough to be into Star Wars must be gay, which, if that's an insult, sure. But if you are saying that like a positive thing, probably not. That's probably not what they're going for. Way to alienate the audience. Like, if you're a nerd, if you like Star Wars, you're gay. That's a winning marketing strategy for you there.
Look, just for the record, I think gay is okay. It's fine. If it fits the character and it fits the story and it makes sense, it's great. And I'm gonna get heat for this. Do you guys watch Fantastic Beasts?
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
Oh, I've heard.
And Dumbledore turns out being gay.
As J.K. Rowling described it in a viral tweet at the time,
yeah.
Dumbledore and Grindelwald had an intense homosexual relationship.
But you know what?
That's exactly
But
what
it
you
was-
want to hear
it was,
about that.
Listen, it was established by the author, and I think the plot twist it provided to the story, like the reason they're not fighting each other, I was like, okay, this makes sense. It's not a main part of the story, but it's an interesting twist to it.
Not
I
forced.
was like, all for it. I was okay, gay wizards, all for it. But when you're grabbing someone else's work, because that's why I give J.K. Rowling a pass, because it's her work, freedom of speech. You can do whatever you want. You grab two gay wizards and have them go at it. Good for you. But when you grab such a beloved piece of media content, and I think is ingrained into popular culture worldwide, and you just use it as a cheap way to put your message out. It just it makes me really freaking angry. Not as angry as Vinny.
But you don't have the forehead vein going
I
right
still
now.
don't have the forehead vein.
Yeah.
I have the same hair, beautiful.
But I
hair.
want to show us a quick look at the strategy that probably went into some of this decision making, courtesy of the guys at South Park.
Put another gay diverse woman in it. Make it more fucking lame. No, what's going on with my stars? No, Is there a problem, people?
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it. Make her gay.
Maybe we should go a different route than we did with Indiana Jones.
Fuck Indiana Jones. Put a chick in it and make her lame and gay.
Sure, yeah. Well, let's try that. Again.
Kathleen Kennedy is down on set right now ruining the new Bambi movie.
Put a diverse woman in it. Make it lame.
Bambi's a baby deer.
Fuck baby dear. Put a chick in it. Make her gay.
We've sent
Put a
away
chick
to
in
have
it, make
lunch
her
at
gay,
Spago.
make it lame.
There you are, Miss Kennedy, the linguine and clam sauce.
Excuse me. I believe I asked you to put a chick in this and make her gay.
Yes, the chef was a little confused what you meant by that.
Means put a chick in the linguine and make her fucking gay. And I want it lame.
And we can
Fair?
go ahead and
That's
cut it
All
there.
right.
This was from their movie Into the Panderverse, I think, where it was all about making South Park more diverse and representative. But this is the current strategy Disney has taken, where everything they've gotten a hold of, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, all these other things they've taken custody of, they make them lame. But this is the part that I think people are going to go after me for, because I know everyone agrees a lot of these shows suck. And a lot of people are unhappy with what they've done with Star Wars. But the point I want to make is that maybe, just maybe, taking all of these facts into account, we have to consider that maybe Star Wars was not that good to begin with.
Oh,
We have to
wow.
possibly...
Deep that I heard. Kelly, are you hearing this?
Yeah, Kelly's gonna
Are
come
you
up and
hearing
stab
this?
me.
Jesus Christ,
Yep,
there she
yep,
is.
there
What
she
are
goes,
you
there she
doing? What?
And that was the last time I was ever on Unusual Suspects.
I know. Thank you for coming.
But what I'm trying to say is, I rewatched the first Star Wars, the New Hope, with my wife not too long ago. My wife, who is an ardent Star Wars supporter and will go to the death telling me that I'm wrong on this. But that is a very mediocre movie.
First one's a little boring.
It is... The acting's not good. The story is very all over the place. It's iconic. I'm not questioning that. But it's not great. It's really a kind of would have been a lame one-off 80s sci-fi movie if they hadn't made this whole franchise around it. Like I said at the top, The Empire Strikes Back is one of the greatest movies in that franchise of that era. Like, it's a fantastic movie. I'm not trying to knock that. What I'm saying is, then when you assess, okay, the prequels were hated, the sequels were hated, one of the standalones was hated, one of the originals is actually not good. That's the bulk of the franchise that is terrible. And you can't really then say, oh, Star Wars is one of the best cinematic masterpieces of all time. Why? They have at best 3 good movies, and the first one isn't one of them. That's really what I'm trying to dig down to here, and I have an explanation for why.
All right.
Have you ever interacted with people who insist that Avatar is a good movie? We're all familiar with Avatar, right?
I like Avatar.
But
we have one of them right here.
Yeah, when you look at Avatar,
and another one right there, you're gonna get stabbed.
I'm gonna get stabbed by the women of the Unusual Suspects.
I know.
And maybe I deserve it. If you think I'm completely wrong, leave comments, make fun of me for it, whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that if you look at Avatar when it came out, it was the most mind-blowing thing anyone had ever seen. It was a visual spectacle that had never been done on film before. Go watch that movie now. When even bad movies have CGI like Avatar, then you can't assess it based on visuals. You have to take it based on the quality of the writing, the actual story they tell. And it is a pretty lame, trite story that doesn't do much that's unique. And you have to watch blue cat people have sex at one point. And
hey, then knock it till you try it.
Just to highlight the state of the writing for that movie, the whole plot about the humans invading this alien planet is that they're trying to acquire this rare mineral that will help them power things on Earth. This mineral that is difficult to obtain, you know what they called it? Unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
That is the quality of writing you're
Simple,
talking about when it comes to this.
Effective. Everyone is on board.
Exactly.
you know?
Everybody immediately gets that it's difficult to obtain. I guess you
It was
accomplished
his life
it.
project too, which is kind of
But-
sad.
Yeah.
Like, he
Connor-
spent 50 years
But
working
that's
on
that's
that.
what I mean. The visuals are what sold it. It had never been done before. No one had ever seen a movie like that, and so it earned its place as, oh, this was an iconic thing. But look at when the second Avatar came out. You don't have anybody talking about it as nearly as much of a spectacle as the first one was, because everything looks like that now. Everybody has access to CGI. It's not unique. And so I would argue, much in the same way that Avatar earned its place somewhat undeservingly, Star Wars did the same thing in 1970. It was visual effects that nobody had ever seen, special effects that had never been attempted before. George Lucas pioneered that, and that's to his credit. He really did do an amazing job with it. But the product it was packaged in, kind of underwhelming when you dig right down to it. And think about when most of us saw Star Wars for the first time. How old were you?
When did the Phantom Menace come out?
I believe that was 1999.
So I was 9.
Yeah, I was about the same. I was like 8, 9 years old.
All right.
We all saw it as children,
Yeah.
easily impressed by things.
Yeah.
So when you sit down and you watch a movie that you are told by your parents is the most iconic movie of all time, and you watch it as a small child, you grow up with thinking
I can
that.
still remember that day.
Exactly.
Like I literally, my dad bought me the T-shirt. It had young Anakin in it.
Mm-hmm.
We went to movies. We watched it. I had my head blown. Blown.
We all remember that, but we also remember that we were kids when it happened. They indoctrinated us into thinking that the first Star Wars is a good movie. And so to conclude my tirade here, I know it has nothing to do with anything else we discussed on the show, but I want to conclude with this. It's a passage from one of my favorite books. It's called The Way of Kings. The context of the book has absolutely no bearing on the discussion here, but there's an excerpt from the epilogue that I think is relevant. In this, as in all things, our actions give us away. If an artist creates a work of powerful beauty using new and innovative techniques, she will be lauded as a master and will launch a new movement in aesthetics. Yet what if another, working independently with that exact same skill, were to make the same accomplishment the very next month? Would she find similar acclaim? No, she'd be called derivative. Intellect. If a great thinker develops a new theory of mathematics, science, or philosophy, we will name him wise. We will sit at his feet and learn, and will record his name in history for thousands upon thousands to revere. But what if another man determines the same theory on his own, then delays in publishing his results by a mere week? Will he be remembered for his greatness? No, he will be forgotten. Invention. A woman brings a new design of great worth, some feat of engineering. She will be known as an innovator. But if someone with the same talent creates the same design a year later, not realizing it has already been created, will she be rewarded for her creativity? No, she'll be called a copier and a forger. And so, in the end, what must we determine? Is it the intellect of a genius that we revere? Is it where their artistry, the beauty of their mind would... if it were their artistry, the beauty of their mind, would we not laud it regardless of whether we'd seen their products before? But we don't. Given two works of artistic majesty, otherwise weighted equally, we will give the greater acclaim to the one who did it first. It doesn't matter what you create, it matters that you create before anyone else. So it's not the beauty itself we admire, it's not the force of intellect, it's not invention, aesthetics, or capacity itself. The greatest talent that we think a man can have, seems to me it must be nothing more than novelty.
Wow, that's very deep. I'm not gonna say you're wrong on it. I agree with most of it, but the difference between a film and a movie is that a movie is not just what is on screen. I don't think there's been many movies lately. I don't know if you guys can disagree. Let's jump in. That grab the collective zeitgeist of what's going on right now. Like probably Top Gun got kind of close to it, that everyone went and watched.
But even think Top Gun itself was derivative of the original Top Gun.
But at the same, like I haven't seen anything at the same level as Endgame. That was the last big movie that got everyone going there. I watched it 3 times. I enjoyed it. I enjoy waiting for it. I enjoy paying the ticket. I enjoy paying for popcorn. I enjoy talking about it and going to watch it again. But then again, I'm a simple man with simple taste. And What do you guys think?
When's the last time we saw like a Pulp Fiction, like a true, like unique and creative story where people like go out on a limb with an original concept and try to do something that's a masterpiece? Never. I don't think it's happened in 15 years.
I mean, Dune got pretty close, and then it was such a unique concept. Yes,
but it's a really old story.
It's a very old story, but
it's actually older than Star Wars.
Yeah, which anyone who thinks that Dune is a Star Wars knockoff, it's actually the opposite.
So it's from
Lucas
a book?
knocked off Tatooine from Arrakis. So yeah, like Brandon, it's Dune came first.
Yeah, okay.
And-
So I want to see stuff like that. Like, I mean, I'm so sick of all the recreates, and I mean, they know they have enough of a fan base to do 10 Marvel movies or 10 Fast and Furious movies to like, lock in like a profit to some degree and take the safe way out. And it's enforced that they do all this DEI stuff where they have to have a certain amount of black people, a certain amount of disabled people, a certain amount of LGBT people to get the tax credit, which is stupid because you're gonna have shittier movies if you do that. So I mean, I hate the remakes. I hate the fact they're enforcing that you have to have a certain amount of people in, and that's why there's an exodus from Hollywood. So I think it's Hollywood like is turned into what it ran away from in the first place. They ran away from censorship in New Jersey under Edison. That's why Hollywood was created, for like creative people to do creative things, not under like censorship rules. So that's why we're seeing a slow drip of people leaving Hollywood to make movies elsewhere.
Is that why Hollywood was created, or was it created by the CIA?
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't know about the CIA.
Tony.
I think the CIA the CIA infiltrated it because CIA came after Hollywood started. Because Hollywood started like in the 20s, CIA started in like the 40s or 50s.
I mean, remember that time when Walt Disney went before Congress and was like, "Hey, Hollywood's been overrun by communists. Be careful."
It sure
Nobody
has.
listened or did anything about it. Now his own company is churning out
that
gay communists.
gay communist nonsense. I saw the perfect statement about this a while back. Like the United States spent decades fighting the USSR just to become a gay retarded version of it.